Hello guys, welcome back to Path Nostalgia for the final installment of Path Nostalgia for the channel. Absolutely. And this is the Tweenies. I thought, why not end up with this actually? Can't really think of anything else to really finish off, so I'll just end with the Tweenies. So there we go. So, live action show, people in costumes of course, educational show, and done by the BBC, very colourful. It was broadcast between 1999 and 2002, so it had a nice little span. It did for about 4 years, 4 years, 5 years, who knows, and it has an interesting legacy, it does. So this show was actually, well, a little backstory of this little show is actually produced by one member, of course, which was Ian McLaughlin, I think if I pronounce his name, who was a television children's presenter back in the 70s, really. He did stuff like Play School, Play Days, and Fingerbobs. He did, and Fingerbobs, you know, when he makes little finger puppets out of card and stuff, and introduces that, you know, if you're not too sure with that show. So he produced this, of course, with somebody else. I forgot the name, and again became a smash hit. It did. Obviously, it's of its time. It is, you know. Obviously, it came in the late 90s, very late, tail end of the 90s, early 2000s. So it's. You know, it's very colourful. I mean, at the time, I thought it was really good because it was broadcast back in the day on the BBC at the time. Merchandise was a big thing. They were huge. They were doing, again, like, you know, put on Christmas lights and stuff, you know, doing promotional stuff as well, which I think the same thing they did with the Teletubbies as well, actually. You know, it's sort of a similar thing, of course, like the next best thing. So it's all set precedent for that. It did, because I think you've got there's a main sequence of stuff that is sort of like the late 90s, what the BBC were doing was sort of like hitting gold. They were, because you had Teletubbies in 97, Bob the Builder in 98, Tweenies in 999, 90, yeah, and I think sort of followed suit actually, because you get like colourful characters, you get merchandise, including a hit song as well. The hit song they did. Which is sort of the main theme, really, and just basically just played on the radio, really. I don't think it went to #1. It might have actually, as a Christmas #1 or something, so maybe as a novelty song. So that's one thing. As itself, it's a really alright show, I would say. As a young kid, you probably really enjoyed it. If you were around at the time when this came out, you probably think, absolutely, you know, it's probably the best show. Looking back in, though, it's not really sort of one I sort of fondly remember in ways, because it's glossy, colourful, very of its time. It is, and the characters are interesting, because you've got Bella, Fizz, Milo, and Jake as well. Doodle's a dog. Max, the sort of older parent, Yorkshire father figure or mentor, whatever, and some woman called Judy, I think, who pops in now and again. It's interesting, you know. Obviously, design-wise, it's actually really good. They've really done a job with the costumes, very colourful characters, you know, just various types, really, you know, and yeah, pretty good. You've also got Justin Fletcher actually doing his, been involved as well, which interesting enough, he done stuff beforehand, quite a few years ago with Fun Some Factory, he did. But I think this sort of propelled his career a bit more on the up, really, you know, and decided to. And doesn't enter the costume, really. He's done other stuff as well. He's done Mr. Tumble, of course, which everyone absolutely remembers. Obviously, I don't know much about that character, but I think it's like popular in the mainstream these days. Just something light-hearted entertainment. Also, he's the voice of Shaun the Sheep as well, if you don't know that. You know, there's a few the occasional voices. I mean, he's a very talented, you know, hard-working fella, of course. He's done well, still continuing to entertain children as well, so good for him, absolutely. And yeah, that's just little bits and pieces really. So my introduction probably came with the merchandise when it came out in 1999, early 2000. So I think 1999 actually probably just emerged and merchandise just came on really. I think I do own a VHS of it somewhere. I'm not entirely sure what the VHS is though, but yeah, but I fully remember them. I told about Tweenies beforehand when the Cornell told us too, so that was included on there. So there we go. Obviously, there's some weird stuff as well going on. Some stuff's heavily dated. The scene that I probably think of the most is when Max dresses Jimmy Savile. Not joking, that actually happens in the show. As like a costume party, he dresses Jimmy Savile, long hair. Also, he has a Yorkshire accent as well. So it's like, it's like, yeah, it's got, obviously it's heavily of its time it is, and people fondly remember frolicking around in jumpsuits and white wigs and stuff and smoking fake cigars and sunglasses, going around, think it's funny. Nowadays it's totally tasteless and just probably get you arrested afterwards. Who knows? But I think that sort of taints Tweenies for me really in a way. Like that sort of taints its legacy really. If you look back and you think, that showed that they parodied Jimmy Savile, didn't they? It's like that sort of puts you in the wrong state of mind. It does really, and I feel like people look at it nowadays and you think, yeah, it's been glorious bad taste. I think people accept it more. Tweenies, I think, skipping the Savile stuff. In terms of popularity, I think it sort of did well. Of course, people look at the Teletubbies when it first came out, and they basically reviled it absolutely when it first came out. As kids loved it, but parents just absolutely hated it, of course. And in terms of Backlash, that's really just. There's a good documentary of that thing that came out a year later in '98 called Big Hug. That's a really interesting documentary for its inception and creation, and also the backlash of Teletubbies itself. That's a really interesting documentary to get into, really, of with Anne Wood facing different sides of stuff, of criticism, all sorts of stuff. Really, it's like she thought her career sort of like took a nosedive, of course, and and that sort of thing. Really, with the success she had many years prior, creating these wonderful shows, of course. You end up with this, and you think like it's having a knife year back, really. But in actual fact, it became very successful and then get rebooted. Strangely, Tweenies never got rebooted actually, which is strange. Like even though it's like, there may be plans, who knows? But we don't know if it's, It depends if the people really want to see it come back. Really, that's the thing. Obviously you can keep the same characters and stuff as well, keep the same music, everything else, and it's basically like you've got something good on your hands. I mean, Teletubbies has done successfully well, so Danger Mouse has done well, rebooted back. There's quite a few clangers as well. Strangely, they've been rebooted and done extremely well. You can probably do something like with Tweenies. It could probably be one of the other things to do actually. Because them three have gone down well with some strange results and stuff that's been added in the mix. But this might be interesting to do it, even though it's live studio. They could probably still the BBC can still do something like that really, or let a different company take over or something, or not be dumped on Channel 5. Hopefully not, but rebooting might have potential, introduce it to a new generation. That might be interesting. More educational value about everything else, because let's be fair, kids shows these days are absolute dire, absolute trash. Even shows that have been continuing on, they slowly become decayed corpses, in recent news as well, as we all know, as people probably know, sharing around the internet and gasping in horror and trying to drink to forget, that sort of thing. It's like, yeah, we've hit some low points on that one. But I think it might happen, I don't know, unless it goes on YouTube and some company takes over and removes everything, and makes it just like something completely drivel or something, But I think a live action, a reboot, a reintroduction to the Tweenies on BBC might be interesting. Absolutely interesting. Who knows? That could be potential. That's quite weird because usually I'm not like I'm against reboots really. You know, keep the original going, and you know, just if it has a day, fair enough. You know, but I think this one has interesting potential in terms of its costumes, its live action. It's colourful, it's fun. It might be ideal for kids really. You know, and it's sort of that limit, you know, to make a child interested. Also merchandise as well. You know, because he had its merchandise boom when it originally came out. He could probably have another merchandise boom when he comes back. Who knows? We'll see about that. Tweenies. That's all I could say about it, really. You know, it's a little interesting speck of childhood that I sort of forgot about, really. But looking back on it, you know, there are some ups and downs with it, of course, you know, in terms of its quality and legacy, you know, what's come after in terms of legacy. And, yeah, all those things. It's quite a shame, really. Although some stuff I've talked about on the channel sort of leads into this as well in terms of, you know, repercussions, what people have done, really, and also just like the influences, you know, like even little references, like little homages, you know, sometimes they become tasteless afterwards. You know, it's like, yeah. But it's interesting, it is. People falling around the Tweenies, interestingly, and yes, it's just good. It's a decent little thing, really. And you look back on it, it's alright, really. You know, colourful fun, Justin Fletcher's in it, of course. And it's in the capable hands of a few TV presenters who actually serve as producers now, so it's rightfully their version of it, I think. Also, decent theme song as well. Thank you guys for watching. Bath Nostalgia's finished. Absolute gone, finished. No more, no more. I'm done for good. This is the last straw. Last straw, it's gone. But thank you guys for watching. As always, I'll see you for the next video, and we close the door on the coffin of Path of Nostalgia. Lay it bury in the ground. Take it to the heavens. Thank you.